Welcome back to another class on Havdala, Amot, Shel, Halacha, Eno l'Kadosh Baruch Hu, Be'olama Ela Arba Amot, Shel, Halacha, Bilvad. We are continuing in Siman Reish Tzadik Tet in Halacha Zayin. This will be part 3 and the final part for Halacha Zayin Be'ezrat Hashem. We want to continue in the next phase of the Halacha where the Ramah says, V'im Havdil Techilam. The Ramah says what happens if a person went ahead and he did Havdala initially without first washing his hands. Tzarich levarech acharav bracha me'ein gimel. You need to go ahead and bless after you had drank a revi'it of wine. You have to bless the after blessing of me'ein shalosh, which is the ala gefen, val priya gefen blessing. So the Ramah song goes like this. A person on Motzi Shabbat, he didn't wash his hands. He went ahead, he first did Havdala. Before he's going to go ahead and wash his hands, we're going to tell him, the Ramah is saying, let him go ahead and say the after blessing. Let him say, Allah gefen val priya gefen. Comes the Mishnah Berurah Sivkat and Chavav, V'im Havdil Techil, if he went ahead and he did Havdala initially, before washing the hands, the Mishnah Berurah tells you, Haga zo hi maskanat data yesh omrim. This Haga, this Ramah, what he's saying over here, that if you went ahead and you did Havdala before the washing of the hands, he says you should know this is the conclusion of the opinion of the Yesh Omrim that we quoted in the Shulchan Aruch. Because the Yesh Omrim said, "De lo patar elam ken natal yadav kodem shivdil." You don't exempt the wine in the meal unless you first went ahead and you washed your hands before you did the Havdala. So comes the Ramah and he adds to the Yesh Omrim and he tells you that this is going to be the conclusion of their opinion. That if you went ahead and you did Havdala before the washing of the hands, the Ramah is going to tell you, in the opinion of the Yesh Omrim, you first need to go ahead and bless, and after blessing of Me'en Shalosh. So let's see that one more time inside. Hagazo hi maskanat data Yesh Omrim. This Haga is the conclusion of the opinion of the Yesh Omrim. The Sviriluhu, they held, the Yesh Omrim held, the Mashiv Dil Kodem Hanitilam, this that he went ahead and he did the Havdala before the washing of the hands. Ava Pishu ala Shulchono, even though they did it on the table where they're going to eat the Sudar Revid, or even in the room like we saw in the Mishnah Berurah, Eino Shaykh Lamashi Ishtet Toch Hamazon Acher Kach. It has nothing to do with what he's going to go ahead and drink afterwards during the meal. So basically the Havdala that he's doing now, before of the washing of the hands, has nothing to do with the cup of wine that he's going to drink in the middle afterwards when he's going to go ahead and wash his hands. Even though he's doing the Havdala on the table, it has no connection to what he's going to go ahead and drink in the bread meal after the Havdala. They're not connected. The Havdala and the koshel yain and the cup of wine during the meal, since you didn't wash your hands prior to the Havdala, we're going to tell you this Havdala is for the mitzvah of Havdala itself, has nothing to do with the meal that you're going to go ahead and have a drink in. Therefore, the Mishnah Berurah concludes and he says, Chayav levarech bracha chrono kodem hasuda. That's what the Ramah says in the opinion of the Yesh Omrim. You are obligated to go ahead and bless the after blessing before the meal. So it comes out of here, according to the Ramah, if a person went ahead and he did Havdala prior to washing his hands, we're going to tell him if you drank a revi'it of wine, if you drank 3 ounces of wine, you need to first go ahead and say the blessing of ala gefen, val priya gefen, and then wash your hands and then have your meal. However, comes the Mishnah Berurah and he says, Villa halacha. However, halachically speaking, the Mishnah Berurah is going to go like the first opinion in the Stam, in the Shulchan Aruch of the Stam. Villa halacha. Halachically speaking, if a person went ahead and he if a person went ahead and he did Havdala prior to washing, Vaday yesh lifsok safek berachot lakel, for sure we should paskin that we have, whenever there's a doubt into say a blessing or not, one should be lenient. Upatur mibracha achrona. He is exempt from the after blessing. Ubetocha suda gam ke patur levarach al hayayin. Also during the meal, you are also exempt from blessing on the wine. Kedeya harishona, like the first opinion in the Shulchan Aruch, which is the Stam. So basically, what is the Mishnah Berurah telling us right now? Villa halacha, halachically speaking, a person went ahead and he did Havdala prior to the washing of the hands. We're going to go with the first opinion. But the first opinion clearly said, if a person went ahead and he did Havdala on the cup of wine, on the table, even before he washed his hands, we're going to tell him this, that he blessed on the kosher Havdala, is going to go ahead and is going to help him for the wine that's inside the meal. So, we see from over here, since it's a machlokim between the Stam v'yesh, the Mishnah Berurah tells you, v'la halacha, v'adayish lefsok safek berach b'lakel. Since one of them is going to tell you, don't bless, and one of them is going to tell you, to bless, we're going to tell you, since you have a machlokim, whether you have to bless or not, you have a doubt to bless or not, we're going to be lenient and we're going to tell you not to follow the Ramah in this case. We're going to go with the Stam opinion that will hold that the Birkat Hamazon, that eventually when you're going to do after the meal, will cover the after blessing for the kosher Havdala that you did before the washing of the hands. And also the Mishnah Berurah said, when you're drinking the cup of wine and doing the meal now, you don't have to bless on it. We did this partially, we did yesterday in Siman, Kuf Ayin Daled, Halacha Daled, and what he wrote over there. Now, Rabotai, we have to understand like this. We saw over there in Siman Kuf Ayin Daled, Halacha Daled, after the Shulchan Aruch brought the opinions regarding how to go ahead, the same machlok that we had over here, please listen to a previous class. The Shulchan Aruch concluded saying that since not to put ourselves into a doubt, he says, Hilkach, therefore, Hamavdil Kodum Nitila, anybody's going to go ahead and do Havdala prior to washing, Yichaven Shalolo Otzi Yain Shebetoch Suda, have kavanah, have open kavanah, not to exempt the wine that you're going to drink during the meal. So therefore, afterwards, when I'm finished, I can go back and say another bracha on the cup of wine during the meal. We saw in the Mishnah Berurah says in Sifkat and Tadvav, then he says, so since you had that kavanah to not include the cup of wine during the meal, so therefore you can bless another blessing of Brit Geffen, good. So if I'm going to say, let's do like this. If this is the kosher Havdala, so before I start drinking, I say, I don't want the blessing of Brit Geffen to include this cup of wine that's during the meal. I want to be able to bless a separate blessing. The Mishnah Berurah tells you, since you are having that kavanah, then you have to go ahead and bless a bracha achrona on this cup of wine. We saw in the previous class that Hamudei Horah, he brought the Pesach Halacha like this also, the Kaf Chaim, and Rav David Yosef Halacha Berurah, he also said the same halacha that you should bless the bracha achrona. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to say the Brit Geffen on this. Rabotai, so I have a little bit of a difficulty over here, and I'll tell you why. When I looked into the Yalkut Yosef, right, because Rabbi Dan also brings down this Yalkut Yosef, and he says like this. He says, Avala Yalkut Yosef, Siman Kuf Ayin Zayin, which I'm in right now, in Sov Ha'ara Yur Aleph, towards the end of the footnotes, towards the end, so that's how I know I have to look over here. Pasak, he made a Pasak Halacha. The ein levarech bracha achron al hayayin, Havdala kodem asuda. You shouldn't bless, excuse me, and after blessing on this kosher Havdala, before you're going to have your meal. Why? Kevin, since this so vayan gorer ha'achila, since bottom line is wine, it opens up a person's appetite to eat. V'niftar b'brikat hamazon, and you're going to be exempt with the brikat hamazon. When you're going to do after the meal, it's going to exempt the alagefet that you were supposed to do on the kosher Havdala. Now, when I looked over here in the back of he says over here, he brings, by the way, according to the Shulchan Aruch, he says in Siman Reish Tzadik Tet, he says, Mikol Makom b'Havdala she'ena ba'al ligoror. According to the Shulchan Aruch, he holds that Havdala is not coming to open up a person's appetite, because when you're doing Havdala for what? In order to separate the chol from the kodesh. You're not doing Havdala to open up your appetite. So that he says, Mikol Makom b'Havdala she'ena ba'al ligoror, pasag maran levarech. Since when you're doing Havdala, it's not like a regular, you're not sitting down on a regular day and, taking up a cup of wine and saying, I want to drink because I want to have a better appetite. So then I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands after. You're not doing that. Havdala, you're obligated to do, and it's a mitzvah by itself. It has nothing to do with the meal that you're going to eat. So that's what the Shulchan Aruch wants to pass in Siman Reish Tzadik Tet. We'll see that actually also it's in Siv Chet, but we'll see that in the following class. Levarech, he says you should bless the blessing, the after blessing. But Rav Yitzchak Yosef writes over here, V'tzaruch iyun. He says it needs to be looked into. Why? The sov has zayin v'yipater b'brikat mazon. So I don't get it. But the bottom line is, wine can satiate you, and let the brikat mazon exempt you. V'so, and furthermore he says that Magen Aram Sham hiksha al zed midivrei Rosh. The Magen Aram asked on this from the words of the Rosh. V'lachen gam zeh savik brachot ulukulo. So too, even when it comes to the after blessing, we're going to tell you, according to Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shita, not to bless it before the Havdala. Not before the Havdala, I'm sorry. When it comes to the after blessing of Allah Give Al Priya Geffen, not to bless it on the course Shel Havdala before you're going to do the meal. Have the meal and let Brikat HaMazon go ahead and exempt the course Shel Havdala.